Thank you and welcome to the Legal Table. I'm your host, Crystal Jamerson, and I'm the Community Engagement and Outreach Coordinator for Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota. The Legal Table was created to educate you on your rights and responsibilities, along with introduce you to community organizations that have resources to help you along the way. Today, we're going to be talking about tax law in Minnesota. We chose this topic because, as many people, individuals, and families prepare for the new year, understanding the state's taxes laws become pretty crucial. Tax season can be overwhelming, and it's easy to make costly mistakes, particularly for those already navigating financial challenges. So, today we're going to hear from our experts about resources available to those facing tax related difficulties and offer practical guidance on how to address these issues. Our aim is to equip you with the knowledge and support to avoid these common pitfalls and alleviate the stress of dealing with taxes in Minnesota. Presently, we are trying to make sure that people in the counties that we serve are aware of the options and resources available for its community members. So, as you may know, Legal Services of Northwest Minnesota, we serve 22 counties and have 3 offices in the area where we assist clients in navigating the justice system and provide services for low-income individuals with their civil legal needs. Outside of providing full representation for a client, we have legal kiosks in 87 locations in our service area that provide assistance with virtual courts, legal documents. We have a justice bus, which is our mobile clinic that allows us to go into the communities where transportation is limited to provide legal assistance. And we have self-help clinics to assist with the do-it-yourself type court forms. Um, we hope to bring you more information on civil legal topics throughout the year. So make sure you continue to join us and pass the information along to your coworkers and to your clients. With that being said, I want to introduce you to our guest today. We have Hannah Steffen from Mid Minnesota Legal Aid. We have Allison, and oh, I don't want to say this wrong, Bonvi from CAP LP. And we have Mary Rhea from Legal Services State Support. Real quick, just a little bit of housekeeping rules. Please make sure to put all the questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. Also, this is a quick hour-long meeting, so if you would like more information, each panelist will have their information listed at the end of their presentations or at the end of the meeting. This meeting will also be available on the YouTube channel by the end of the week. So if you have coworkers or were unable to make it, please make sure to check out our channel. And we are applying for CLE credit for the course. So you will get an email at the end to let you know what your CLE credit number is, or that credit code. All right. So without further ado, we're going to turn the mic over to Hannah. Thank you so much for being with us today, Hannah.
All right, good morning. Are you able to see my screen okay? Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. I hope everyone is staying warm. It's chilly out there today, but I'm excited to be here to talk with everyone about taxes as we approach this upcoming filing season. I am a staff attorney with Mid Minnesota Legal Aid. Our offices are located in Minneapolis, St. Cloud, and Wilmer, Minnesota. But I am excited to share today about our tax clinic, which is able to help individuals who live anywhere in Minnesota. So no matter what county you're in, Mid Minnesota Legal Aid, our tax clinic is able to assist, able to speak with you. So I am going to start by talking a little bit about what our low-income taxpayer clinic can help with, share some quick tips for filing season. I think others will also be sharing some similar information to that, so I'll spend just a little bit of time on that. And then I'm going to go over some of the key issues that we see from legal issue perspective in terms of tax filing and things that can come up, and then just a few special areas that come up often for folks that we're usually able to assist with. And then at the end, I'll share some resources and contact information for anyone that that's helpful to. And like Crystal said, we'll be answering all questions at the end. So feel free to put any questions in the chat and I will get back to you at the end of everyone's presentations. So with that, a little bit more about Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid's Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. Like I said, we have a taxpayer clinic that assists people across the state of Minnesota with their legal tax issues. We are typically able to represent people whose income does not exceed 250% of the federal poverty guidelines. However, we can provide legal advice to taxpayers regardless of their income. So that's a great reason to reach out, sort of regardless of your situation there. I've put our phone number on this slide, but it will also be at the end of the presentation for anyone who has questions about what we can help with. So the general things that we assist with at our low income taxpayer clinic or LITC, the broad category of things we assist with is IRS tax disputes and controversies with the Internal Revenue Service. This can include representation in U.S. tax court to challenge the IRS's position on a tax issue, helping with tax debt settlements and payment plan agreements, preventing or stopping garnishments due to financial hardship, disputing and responding to tax audits from the Internal Revenue Service, assisting with worker misclassification issues. So I'll go into this a little bit later, but generally that means, if you received a 1099 form and think you should have gotten a W-2, that's sometimes something we can help with. And then we also can assist and advise when you are having issues with identity theft that are impacting your tax account. So, like I said, this section will be brief. It's just a couple of reminders as we go into tax filing season. The first thing is just to address a question that a lot of people have. Do I need to file taxes? So very generally, anyone who earns money or lives in the U.S. is subject to the tax laws of the United States and has to file necessary tax returns. So if your income is over the filing requirements, which vary a little bit every year, then you are required to file a tax return. You need a social security number or an individual taxpayer identification number, also called an ITIN, in order to file taxes. And I want to just mention that, even if you don't have an obligation to file, it can often be beneficial for a variety of reasons. Maybe there are credits that are available to you if you file. It can be helpful to stay compliant and stay up to date on tax returns for reasons of if you're applying for citizenship, which I'll go into in a little bit later. But even if you don't have a filing obligation, it's important to think about whether it might be a good idea to file anyway. And just a quick note that this year's tax filing deadline is April 15th for tax year 2024, which is the calendar year that ended on December 31st of 2024. So some very quick reminders too about filing considerations. When you file your taxes, you'll want to know your filing status. That's important for purposes of you taking which deduction you take. It can also impact certain credits that you might be eligible for. So I've listed the filing statuses on this slide. And it's also important to think about whether you can claim any dependents. This can often have a tax benefit for a variety of reasons, impacting deductions and credits that you're available for. It's important to note that only one person or one tax return, if you're filing jointly, can claim a dependent. So one child or one dependent can't be claimed on two different tax returns. And dependents can be a qualifying child or qualifying relative, defined under the IRS rules. So there are situations where someone might qualify as a dependent, even if they are not a child of yours. So that's something to keep in mind when you are preparing a tax return. And this next slide, I just wanted to have up for a moment to demonstrate why you might want to file taxes even if you don't have a filing obligation, or to look at what's available when you are filing taxes, because there are a lot of credits and deductions that are available depending on your situation. So these are all ways that can either reduce a tax liability on a tax return, or can in some cases be refunded to you if you don't owe taxes, or if you owe less than the amount of the credit. Some of these credits can be paid back to you when you file your taxes. So there's a lot that's available. The first five on the list here are referencing Internal Revenue Service credits that are available. And then the next four are credits that are available for filing with the state of Minnesota. So with that, I'm going to move quickly into what happens after you file your tax return if you run into problems. So this is good to keep the low-income taxpayer clinic in mind when something like this happens. This is where we're sometimes able to give you some advice or assistance with a tax issue. So I'm going to start with where the problem most often starts, where you might first hear about an issue with a tax return. Um, so that's a notice from the IRS. So I have an example here of what an IRS notice might look like. It has the IRS's logo on it. The upper right-hand corner will have a lot of information about the tax year at issue, the type of notice it is. So generally what we suggest you do when you get an IRS notice is don't panic. First and foremost, read the notice or letter carefully. That's really important because the letter should be relatively clear in what it's asking you to do, and what it's saying the problem is. So then you can research the type of notice or letter by Googling it, by looking at the IRS website. If you agree, you can follow the steps in the letter, but if not, it's important to contact the IRS as soon as possible. Other important reminders are to keep copies of any letters you receive. If you do end up asking us for help, it's super helpful to be able to see a copy of those letters. And then also keeping copies of the tax returns you file and any supporting documentation is also a great idea. Um, and then importantly here, if you go through all these steps, you don't understand the notice, you're not able to get in touch with the IRS, you owe money that you can't pay, you're audited and you need help responding, those are all situations where you can contact the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic and we may be able to help you through those issues. I wanted to give a highlight to for something I just said. You know, if you agree with an adjustment but you can't pay a tax debt, or if you need assistance responding, or if you don't respond to an audit and it ends up that money is owed to the IRS that you can't pay, there are some collection alternatives available with the IRS to help manage that. Installment agreements are monthly payment plans. Currently not collectible status is a temporary collection pause that you can apply for based on your financial situation. And then an offer in compromise is sort of a settlement offer with the IRS if you won't ever be able to pay the amount that's owed. So these are all things that are available to taxpayers and that the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic can help apply for. So now I'm just gonna finish by quickly going through a few situations not related to, you know, sort of the tax debt or audit side of things that the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic is able to assist with. So the first is just A note about citizenship, there's often questions in the citizenship application process that are impacted by taxes, so making sure all required returns have been filed, all outstanding tax liabilities are resolved, so we can assist people in reviewing their tax accounts to make sure that everything is all set in these situations. The next one, like I mentioned, is whether someone's treated as an employee or an independent contractor. That matters for the way that they are taxed. So again, an employee would receive a Form W-2 at the end of the year. An independent contractor would receive a 1099 form. If someone's confused about the type of form they received or has questions, that's another issue to look out for that we might be able to assist with. Identity theft, I mentioned too. Unfortunately, this is something that impacts many people every year through fraudulent return filing, thefts of a refund, improper use of a social security number or ITIN. So this form that I have on the slide, IRS Form 14039, is the way to report identity theft to the IRS. We also often suggest there's a process called an identity protection PIN. That's a way to write this PIN on your tax return to sort of proactively verify your identity with the IRS. Um, and if someone's facing an issue they're not able to resolve from an identity theft perspective, feel free to contact us. And then I know we're going to have some great tax preparation resources later in today's presentation. But just wanted to give some reminders of, making sure to not sign a tax return with incorrect information or a blank tax return. Making sure a preparer you're working with is putting their preparer identification number on the form, and just generally being sure to check qualification and ask about fees before an appointment if the tax preparer or the taxpayer is not using a free preparation service. So just some quick reminders as we go into filing season on that. With that, that is what I wanted to share, a bit of a whirlwind through our legal tax resources. But um, for filing help, again, I know we're going to have some great info about this later, but taxpayers can visit a volunteer income tax assistance site for free help with filing taxes. The IRS website, as I mentioned, is a good place to start for demystifying what's going on with a notice you received or getting some information. They also have resources available in languages other than English. And then, of course, as I've reiterated through the presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or to send someone our way. I have our phone number up right now that anyone can call with tax questions and to see if we can help. So again, I know we're holding questions for the very end, so I will go ahead and turn it over to our next presenter, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for that presentation. I think sometimes just figuring out what the first step is the hardest step. So I appreciate you taking that time to kind of guide us and let us know, hey, this is where to go. And even if you don't know where to go, call us anyway. So that's great. Next, we are going to step over to Mary Rhea. She is with Legal Services State Support. Amazing resource that we have, great partnership that we have with state support. So go ahead, take it away, Mary, and I'll mute myself here.
Thanks, Crystal. As Crystal mentioned, I am with state support, and one of the things that our project does for the state of Minnesota is we administer the website lawhelpmn.org. So I'm going to just take about 10 minutes to show everybody lawhelpmn.org and let you see some of the tax related legal information that we have. We can connect you with legal resources, some tax preparation resources that Hannah mentioned, but also just maybe some legal topics related to your taxes that you may just want some information on before you go to a tax appointment or when you're thinking about gathering things for the preparation of filing for 2024. So I'm going to go and share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Um, Excellent. This is the main page of lawhelpmn.org. So this is our landing page. And you're going to want to go to the self-help library. Just click on that link, scroll down, and you'll see these tiles with various civil legal topics and one topic here on criminal that will be of interest. For today's topic, we're going to look predominantly at the money, debt, and taxes tile. So if you click on that, you'll see additional tiles. Some of these relate to, personal finance issues. If you have debt collection or garnishment going on, and some other things related to money and debt. But for taxes, we're going to look at these two tiles predominantly today: the credits and refunds, and the tax disputes and problems, which Hannah touched on a little bit, that the Low Income Taxpayers Clinic at MMLA may be able to help you with. If you give them a call, they can help you determine that. But if we click on the tax credits and refunds tab, I think what's great about this is just if you click this little show all, that will show some other things. We have the page separated into fact sheets, which are the things that we produce, and also with our Education for Justice project, and then other resources that would be available to you. So we'll just take a quick look at the fact sheets. I think one of the first things to look at that's a great resource here is the tax refunds for people with low incomes fact sheet. These get updated regularly. They are looked at by attorneys on an annual and sometimes semi-annual basis. And you can always see when the last update took place by looking here. So if you have any questions when you go to your tax preparer, when you call MMLA or someone else for assistance, if you're unsure that you have the most up-to-date information, of course, an attorney or a tax preparation expert can help you. This one is great because it just kind of goes through some of the federal and Minnesota credits that you can get, the earned income tax credit. I know on one of Hannah's slides, she had a list of some of these credits. If you click on it, it will open up the window and you can look at a little bit more detail about these. For the EITC, a little bit about your income level to get it, if you meet the rules, if you can claim a foster child. It's really nice. And the nice thing about these windows is you can just shut them and then open up the next one. And go into them individually. Same thing with the Minnesota credits and refunds. I think it's good for everybody to look at this particular fact sheet. It's just a nice overview of all the credits available. And if you're a renter, it also goes into the property tax and renter's refund. The other thing that's great about this fact sheet is it will link you to other fact sheets that are related. So if you get here and you're like, okay, I'm a renter, but I need more information, you can just click on this and it'll take you right to the fact sheet about property tax refunds. So I really love these resources. Oh, this is identity theft. Sorry, I'll get to that in just a minute. Going back to tax refunds for people with low incomes. If you have not filed, file now. And at the end of all of these fact sheets, free tax help, which I know Hannah mentioned on some of them. And there's other things that have other fact sheets that have other free tax help options. The other thing about most of our fact sheets in these sections is they are available in other languages. So you can see it in Spanish, Hmong, Somali by just clicking on these highlights. It's really great. And feel free to share these with people because it's the exact same information, just translated into the language that you might need. So going back over to the money, debt, and taxes. So we were looking at credits and refunds. We've got here's the one we were just talking about, tax refunds for people with low incomes. We also have a fact sheet specifically about the renter's refund and the property tax refund, which again, has the same drop-down windows as the earlier fact sheet. Where can I get help with tax forms is there. We have a little quiz that will pop up that will ask you some questions to make sure do I understand what I just read in the fact sheet, which is really great as well. Can I claim a child on my tax return? Also available in these languages, and tax rules for foster care, kids, adoption, relatives. So take a look at those. And here's one on the child tax credit. It's a Q&A. And then we have down below under other resources where you can go to United Way 211, where you can go to the IRS for questions that you may have. Here's an AARP free tax help guide. Um, and then free tax preparation help through the IRS, which I think Hannah mentioned, some sites in Minnesota where you may be able to click through the Minnesota Department of Revenue to get help with tax preparation. And then you can continue down and see a few more. The other tile under the money, debt, and taxes main tile is tax disputes and problems. And I think this is something actually very specific. If you're having problems, I do suggest contacting something like the Low Income Taxpayers Clinic for any kinds of disputes that Hannah mentioned. You'll see a couple that you saw in the other fact sheets you saw in the other tile, and as well as some rights available. For instance, regarding your state tax refunds, what happens to your property if you don't pay taxes, if your taxes are being withheld for reason. So these are all very helpful um, resources as well. And then I think Hannah also mentioned, and I wanted to point out the pay and benefits at work part of the self-help library. So that was just taxes, but you may have some work questions related to your taxes. So back up to the main page, you can look at work. And the work tab has many additional tiles that may relate to a tax issue that you're having, if you're misclassified, for example. And then also she mentioned identity theft. And we don't have a fact sheet on identity theft right now, but there's some great resources at the Minnesota Attorney General's office, including the booklet Protect Yourself from Identity Theft. I think if that's happened, it's a great place to go. There's also, a link here for replacing vital documents if you happen to have had a breach of data or your identity stolen. So the work tabs and the abuse and crime victims tabs may be helpful to you as well when you're preparing taxes. But I think the great thing about the self-help library is anything that's related to your taxes that you, including even immigration, I think she might have mentioned briefly as well. It's a good thing to look at this high level section of the self-help library before you go straight into the money, debt, and taxes, in case you have some things you can always back out also and look. So I hope that helps people with what's available on Law Help. We also have a chat, which you'll see the bottom right-hand corner here. And we have people at State Support Office who are on that chat. And what we do is, some of them are attorneys and some are not, but we don't offer legal help through the chat. However, we do offer navigational assistance if you're, just looking at all the things I just showed you and going, oh my gosh, I'm going to go visit Law Help, I don't even know where to start. You might want to chat us. I am on Thursday afternoons. I can help you look around for what you might need if you're looking for a particular fact sheet or wondering if we have a fact sheet at all that relates to your problem. And we can also through chat help you find legal help if you think you need legal help above and beyond tax preparation help, for example. We can refer you to a legal aid office or someone who can help you. So that's my presentation for today. I'm going to just stop sharing, and thank you for having me, Crystal.
Yes, thank you so much, Mary. I every time you talk to me about Law Help, I always learn something new, and I don't know why I have never seen the chat feature before. And I've been on Law Help a million times, so that's really good to know. I'm gonna bug you on Thursdays. So
Okay, that's fine. Thank you again.
yes, thank you. All righty, so we are going to move on to our next presenter, and that is Allison. Thank you so much for joining us today, Allison.
Thank you, Crystal. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Allison Bonev. I'm the VITA program coordinator here at Lakes and Prairies Community Action Partnership, or CAP-LP for short, in Moorhead, Minnesota. So let me just share my screen here. Okay. Let's see. This one. Okay, I think we're good to go there. So I just have a short little presentation about VITA, a little bit about CAP-LP. So we'll get started here. Okay, so first, just a little bit about CAP-LP. Who are we? What do we do? So we are a nonprofit community action agency that serves children, families, and seniors in our community. Community action agencies work together as America's poverty fighting network. So there are, I want to say, at least 1,000 community action agencies in the nation. They're all over. There are in Minnesota. It's been around, community action has been around since 1964. And we provide services to anybody in the community who needs us. Just a couple programs that we have, just some examples: Head Start, we have housing, Career Connect, Child Care Connections, and we also have a Rural Routes Bus for seniors. So community action agencies, we're all kind of similar, but we tailor our programs to fit the needs of our clients and our communities. So all kind of similar, but still a little different, depending on where you live. So our mission is to eliminate poverty, empower families, and engage communities. So VITA is one of the programs that we have, and VITA has been around, I want to say, for 50 years. It is a longstanding program that has been going on around the nation. So VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. So what we do is we partner directly with the IRS to provide quality tax preparation services to moderate to low income families and individuals. Our threshold this year for income, I want to say, is around $67,000 or less a year. If you're a little above that threshold, no problem. We can still serve you, but that's kind of the ballpark where we try to aim to serve people. So the program is completely volunteer driven, with all volunteers completing required training and passing IRS testing for certification. So we actually got done with our volunteer training last week, I want to say. So all of our volunteers are now working on their tests and getting their certification. And that is all done through the IRS. And you can use IRS resources, guides, references. It's a pretty straightforward test, but we do have all of our volunteers certified just so we know that we are providing quality tax prep to our clients. And each year, our volunteers assist hundreds of low-income families file their taxes completely free of charge. That's what we really like to emphasize. This service is completely free of charge. Even if you have 10 W-2s, or you have a very complicated tax situation, or you need to go back a couple years, or you need to amend a return, we can do all of that. If something is out of scope for us, we will let you know and then refer. Well, we can't really directly refer you to anybody, but say this is out of scope for us. You're probably going to have to go to a paid preparer for this, or we will find another free service that may be able to do it. But our scope of service is quite broad. Okay. So scope of services, these are just a few forms that we do. W-2s, of course, we do interest and dividend income, unemployment benefits, IRA distributions, Social Security, and then, like I said earlier, past year and amended returns. I want to say this year we can go back to 2021 all the way to 2024. So we can get a few years done. Say if you got behind on your taxes, we can help get that done for you. All right, so our 2025 tax season, this is for our Moorhead office. It starts February 3rd and goes until April 10th this year. We actually just started taking appointments today. So if anybody is interested in scheduling an appointment, they can just call our main line, which is down below, to schedule an appointment. And then we also have sites in Holly, Barnesville, and Breckenridge as well. those appointment day and times differ a little bit than our Moorhead site. You can always call me or the front desk if you want to get more information about that. We have appointments in Holly on Tuesdays and then in Barnesville on Wednesdays. And then in Moorhead, we have walk-ins as well as appointments. So you just need to call to make an appointment. Okay, what to bring to your appointment? So everybody that files a return with us, we need social security cards for everybody on the return, even dependents. I know this is a little tricky sometimes because not everybody has their social security card. It's hard to, you get one card, very early on in life, and then you're supposed to have it forever. What if you lose it? What if you move and you don't have it? So actually you can get a social security card. I think you can get up to 10 free cards in a lifetime. So if you don't have the card, we can refer you to the Social Security office here in Fargo and you can apply for one and then we can get the process going for you. But that is an IRS regulation that everybody has to have the card. And then photo ID for all adults, all your income statements. And then if you go to school, you go to college, you can get a tuition statement that shows what you paid in tuition, grants and scholarships that you got. You can bring that with you because you may be eligible for an education credit. And then if you want to do direct deposit, we just need your routing and account number. You can bring a void check. And then kind of short and sweet. If you guys have questions, please let me know. I just kind of wanted to get to the core of, our program. We assist anybody in the community, even people, where English is not their first language, people with disabilities, seniors. So just give us a call and we would love to have you. All my contact information is here. You can call or text me. I have a PDF of all of our tax site flyers if anybody wants one, and you can distribute them as you like. But that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Perfect.
My last
Thank
slide.
you. Thank you so much, Allison. That's really great because a lot of people, need to be able to bring their documents and their information, and I wouldn't exactly know what to bring. So I'm glad that I saw that slide in there. Might have to ask you for a copy so that we can be able to let our clients know what documents need to be brought. A lot of the times, clients that are low income, sometimes transportation is limited. So having to go back and forth after finding out might be something that community partners should think about and say, hey, we do need a flyer. We do need to know exactly what documents so that when they come, they are prepared and they don't have to make a second trip on the bus as it's like negative 18 degrees outside and it's too freezing for anybody to make a double trip.
Right. And we want everyone to be prepared. So we go over it, with them on the phone just to remind them, double check, and we double check when they get there for their appointment. So yes, totally understandable.
That is perfect. Well, I do have a couple of questions. I do have a question for everybody here. Um, First off, number one, thank you, ladies, because all of the information that you presented today is great information for individuals and also for our community partners to be able to do referrals. That being said, especially for MMLA and for VITA, what is the best way for a client to be able to reach your services? Is it best to just make the phone call or best to come in? So whoever wants to take the question or both of you guys can answer. What's the best way for community organizations to refer clients to you?
I would say starting off with a phone call, that would be probably the best route. Um, if they don't want to call and just want to come into the building, that is just fine. We'll give them all the information there as well. And we can maybe even get them scheduled an appointment. But I would just take that first phone call, just to kind of get the process going and get an idea about, appointment availability and what we're able to provide for them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Same for us. A phone call is a great place to start, especially since geographically, maybe someone might not be located that close to us, since we're in the mid-Minnesota region, but can assist throughout the state. Often it'll be easier to pick up the phone from wherever you are, and give us a call to see if we can help.
Perfect. And I think that kind of answers the question that we had in the chat of should those seeking tax filing prep go directly to you or through the IRS? So would you prefer them to kind of seek that option first, going to the IRS to do their tax filing, or come to you?
I mean, what they're comfortable with, I would say they can come to us because we do partner directly with the IRS. So your return will be federally e-filed with the IRS. If there's something that we can't resolve, or if you have some questions, then we can refer them to the IRS office here in Fargo. But I mean, if they file with us, like I said, we are partnered with the IRS, so it'll go directly to them.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Oh, go ahead, Mary. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I had a question for Allison. So, Allison, if people are, for instance, if I'm on chat and somebody's looking for help, should they, if they're not in so your service area is Moorhead, Fargo, that kind of area. If they call the number that you provided in your slide and you're like, well, you're outside of our service area, do you then refer them to an office that's a VITA office in their area?
We can do that
Okay.
if they don't want to make the trip over to us, because even if you're a North Dakota resident, we can still file your taxes for you.
Oh,
And
okay.
even if you live in Minnesota and you live, let's say, like in the cities, and you want to come up to Moorhead for whatever reason, there isn't any openings in the cities, we can
Right.
still do that. So, yep, I definitely would be able to look up other free tax clinics to refer them to.
Awesome.
Because yes, we do serve primarily Clay and Wilkin counties in
Okay.
Minnesota.
Okay. That's nice to know that you have referrals. I mean, I would typically, if I get a chat or somebody I'm talking to, the first thing I ask them is, where are you?
Yeah.
Just to kind of place them on the map and find out where available services might be. But that's nice to know that if they somehow got to you, you would refer them, you know.
Hmm.
And you do federal e-tax filing and also the state e-tax filing from Minnesota and North Dakota.
Yep. So we can do state for Minnesota and North Dakota. So if they are out of state, let's just say from Oklahoma, we could do their federal return and just let them know we don't have the capacity to do the state, but we can do your federal return for you.
Nice, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, that's great. That's a great idea and thought because there are a lot of people that come here sometimes in the winter times, or sometimes they're coming here in the summer times. And so it's not always their home state all the time. So it's good to know that you can help out with services like that.
Mhm.
Um, Question for anybody on the chat here. So when it comes to applying for an extension, you do hear about that a lot. Like, okay, I need an extension for whichever reason. Um, how do you handle that? Does your organizations handle extensions or do you refer them to someone else?
We actually do extensions. If they need to file after April 15th, we can do that actually. They're just going to have to contact me directly, and then we'll set up an appointment and we'll get that done for them as long as we can get it done before October 15th, I think is the extension deadline.
Okay. And like Hannah, would if somebody was applying for an extension or had some legal issues and they needed an extension, would your office be able to, is there like a document or something like that that your office would be able to file as well to help them with that process?
Yeah, so we don't file or prepare any tax returns, and typically that includes extensions too. So I
Okay.
think contacting a VITA site is a fantastic place to start.
Perfect. Okay. So one kind of, I don't know if it's a controversial question or not, but I want to throw it out there, especially with the new political season coming up. They talked about the child support claiming of the children. So there's some new law or something that's going to be taking place where if a parent is the person that is paying child support for a child, they are able to claim them as a dependent, even if, you know what I mean? So like say for instance, the mother has the child, she's getting child support from the father. The father is now able to claim them as a dependent because they are paying child support. And that's supposed to be some new law that's going into place. Has anybody heard any chatter about that? I had some questions earlier about that from some community members.
Yeah, I guess I would say when people have questions like this one, or if people do have this question, that's something that you could reach out to us and we could look at maybe a specific situation. If someone is concerned, I've always filed taxes this way, but I'm worried about this new change. That would be something that on an individual basis would be probably the best way to address that from my view.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Yeah, it does. It was brought up the other day, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to claim my children anymore." And I was like, "Oh, I don't really know, but guess what? We have a tax law, a tax law program that's going to be coming on, so maybe that's a question I can pose. So thank you for that. Um, let's see, what was the other one here? Oh, for Mary. So we serve a large area. And if you want to find a provider near you, can you find a provider near you on Law Help? Because there's VITA services, but maybe you weren't familiar with VITA services and you just were on Law Help. Is there a place to be able to find providers in your area?
Yeah, if we have a couple of minutes, I'd like
Yeah,
to
definitely.
show if I could share my screen again,
That would be great.
I'd be happy to show that. Now, let me just go to see if I can get it shared real quick. Okay, am I on Law Help? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so providers and clinics is the tab that you're going to click on. What we were looking at before was the self-help library. I just want to say this though for providers and clinics. This is the first time I've heard of VITA. Most of the providers and clinics, I would say 98% of them that are on our site are related to legal services specifically. We do have links to people like United Way 211, to the IRS, to government offices. For organizations like Allison's, I think that that is something that could be included. And we have some organizations like that. But as we were doing this presentation, I was thinking that very thing. I don't know if VITA is even on our site. So that's maybe something that you and I could connect about, Allison, because we tend to focus not on more social services community referrals and more on legal referrals. That's kind of our niche, I would say, for and the clinics that are referred to here are tend to be legal clinics in 98% of cases. So that would be why you wouldn't necessarily find somebody like Allison on the site. But for example, here's how to do a search. So here's your providers and clinics tab, which is on the main Law Help page. So you're going to go here. You can search by topic. So I could pick taxes, for example. You can enter keywords. The main that this is more of an optional thing. Main thing you're going to want to do here is do your service area, and I think Clay is one of your service areas, right? For you
Absolutely.
guys, Crystal.
Hmm.
Okay, you can search by organization here if you already know the name of the organization or not. Maybe you don't know and you're just a person searching. I need some tax help. I need it in Clay. And then you can go by service type, any, no cost, a clinic, a lawyer referral, an informational service. I think it's best to leave that as any, because I think you're going to get more comprehensive results if you leave that as any. Okay, so here we see the VLN tax law clinic that's available. And then each of these people that comes up, here's the low income taxpayer clinic. That's Hannah's organization. Um, and and there's Minnesota Lawyers for the Arts. They probably do some arts related tax. Any organization on the site that has listed that they can help you with taxes is going to come up in a search like this. But I think that if you look at the names of them and kind of read the brief the brief description, that will help you zero in on, wow, should I contact this organization? So VLN provides, for example, free legal advice related to tax issues, and so does the Taxpayer Clinic, Anna's organization. If you click application process, this will tell you how to contact the organization. This will tell you what they do. So for taxes for VLN, these are the kind of things they're going to help you with related to taxes. And then this can give you a little bit more about VLN, their website, what their schedule is, that kind of thing. I think this providers and clinics directory is great for giving you, obviously it's not comprehensive for everything in the state, and community resources like Allison's, which are tremendous, may not be here if it's not it's not more of a legal thing. For example, Allison, I know your preparation, but not legal advice. So that would be why you wouldn't be listed here, but Hannah's organization would, because they don't do like Hannah, you guys don't file the taxes, but you give the legal advice. That's why you're in the providers and clinics directory, and Allison's organization is more of a come here if you want us to do your taxes, which we also need information about. You just wouldn't find it here in this providers and clinics directory. The MMLA, there's the Allison's organization. Here's the application process. You can call the legal topics that are available that the low income taxpayer clinic handles. Legal Corps, if you're a low income person that is a small business owner, for example. The University of Minnesota has a law school tax clinic, and then Minnesota Legal Advice Online. And that's volunteer attorneys just answering legal questions on a volunteer basis. And that's a great resource too. Particularly if we have general resources like the state bar, the lawyer information and referral service, for example. So that I think that answers your question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it does. And it brings about a good point. So one of the main reasons why we do the legal table is because we know that, in the legal justice world, a lot of things that we know are legal resources. So bringing about our community partners alongside to let us know that, hey, we all break barriers in different ways. It's really, really, really a great partnership. So I think it's amazing the different work that everybody is doing. And hopefully by us kind of knowing the legal resources and community partner resources, we're able to help to prevent some of these barriers from happening and to be able to collectively fix these barriers for people. So it's an amazing thing. One thing I also wanted to mention was a resource that I found not too long ago. And I'm going to share my screen really quick. We only have a couple more minutes, so I'll be fast. Share my screen. Here we go.
I have a quick question while you're looking.
Yeah.
Will you connect me with Allison at the end, please?
Absolutely.
Because Allison, I want to be able to refer people to you. So
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and pass it along to all of our attorneys statewide to let them know that you're available. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll send an email afterwards so that everybody can kind of get connected. And resources is one of the things that, we like to look at for outreach. I was currently talking to people at Sanford and Essentia about how do they find referrals? How do they refer people to legal entities when people need legal help when they are in a medical situation? And they were talking to me about this website called Resourceful. This is something that is a free community resource guide, which has been really, really helpful for me to be able to find other resources that are in the area. So it's resourceful.findhelp.com. And when you go on there, there's a whole plethora of different types of organizations that you can choose from, which is great. If your organization is not currently on this Resourceful, please let me know because we can get you connected and hooked up because this is for all of Minnesota. So when you go on here, the one thing I thought about is tax preparation. So I clicked on the money and then from the, clicked on the money. There we go. Maybe I can't. Click on the money and go to tax preparation. And when you get over there, right now, currently, there are two different tax preparation resources that are available. So this is just a couple of other information that you're able to have. You can click on the more information. It'll let you know eligibility and description, languages, where it's located and such. This one is a little bit far, but that's okay. But even for the other one here, let's see, this is United Ways, my free taxes. And if you wanted to take the next step to be able to actually get an appointment, you can. It'll tell you the hours of operation. Sometimes it tells you the intake hours. It's a really, really great site. We just landed on it. So if for some reason you are a community engagement or a communications person in your office, this is an amazing site to be able to start getting on so that we don't have to search too many different platforms. One, you should always be using Law Help MN, obviously. And then also this one would be a really great resource for something other than legal to be able to help out your clients. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. And let's see, I'll stop sharing my screen for a second there. Did we have any other questions from the audience of people that would like to ask a question before we kind of finish up with our afternoon?
This is wonderful. Will you put that link in the chat, Crystal, for
Yeah.
Resourceful?
I am
I
going
think that's wonderful. I
right
want to make
now.
sure Law Help is on Resourceful.
Yes, so it's resourceful dot findhelp.com.
Okay.
Okay. Yep,
Thank
just
you.
making sure I spelled that correctly. Yeah, it's an amazing resource. And myself as a community engagement person, I am constantly trying to be like, okay, well, who can I send our client to if it's something outside of their divorce? Now they're, looking for housing help or rental assistance. How can I do that? And there's some amazing community providers, kind of like CAP-LP, that does emergency rent assistance. But there are others in there too, because maybe you've already used CAP-LP and it's like, gosh, I need to use something quick again. There's resources. So I always want to make sure that you guys know of the most up-to-date resources that there are. That being said, we're going to try to wrap up here. Let me go ahead and share my screen one more time here and let you guys get some information for me, just in case you want to contact me. So can you guys see my screen? Let's see, maybe not. There we go.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So if you have a question, feel free to give me a jingle, or you can email me. You can also use the QR code if you'd like to book a time to be able to speak with me in regard to any legal topic that you have, and I can hopefully get you into the right direction. If you want any additional information from any of our speakers today, what I will do is feel free to give me a message here. I'm going to put my information in the chat. cjamerson@lsnmlaw.org. Feel free to message me at any time. I can connect you to these professionals in our area. I definitely appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you for all the great insight, and hopefully we will see you guys again come next text time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
You guys have a great afternoon, and thank you for the hour.